Texas A&M versus Missouri. Look, I think that this game is going to be one of the better games this weekend going into week 6. Texas A&M has had their moments where they've had some really good moments, right? Like Marcel Reed comes in for injured Connor Weigman. He goes out there against Florida. He looks exceptional. They're in a battle in game 1, week 1 versus Notre Dame, and they fall up short. But I thought for them, and if I am an A&M fan, I'm thinking to myself like, hey, man, game 1, week 1, under a new head coach and new regime, I thought that we performed well. They go out there last week against Arkansas, and a guy that is who I believe is a very dangerous quarterback in Taylor Green, and they bottled him up pretty much last week. They were able to get the win. Now they host a really good and top 10 ranked Missouri Tiger football team. The question that I have going into this game is pretty simple. Can Texas A&M out-physical Missouri? Now, listen, I know that most Missouri fans will look at this and say, dude, what are you talking about? But when I look at Texas A&M, look, they went up against a really stout and really good Notre Dame team. They were able to out-physical them at moments and spurts throughout that game. I know that they had some slip-ups and they didn't look good against a team like Bowling Green, but I'm going to remind you, Texas A&M is not the only team that Bowling Green was in a dogfight with. They were also in a dogfight with a top 10 Penn State team. Oh, well, Blake, Penn State stinks. Okay, well, that you might have that opinion, but it's not as if that Bowling Green hasn't been tested by 2 Power 4 programs, and they were able to do some really good things against them. But I look at Missouri and ask myself the God's honest question of, look, they went up against a very solid Boston College team. They won by 6, 27-21. They haven't looked like most thought that they would, which is very interesting. Now, I'm going to come back to that in a moment because the numbers and the stats do not bear that out at all when you look at this Missouri program. But I do question going into this game, can the Aggies at home, which is going to be a very lit place to be and a very tough road environment to be in for the Tigers, can they out-physical them? Look, I think that offensive line has had some issues at times, meaning Texas A&M's. However, they have been very physical on both lines of scrimmage. If I'm looking at this game, that's the number one question that I'm asking. I just mentioned this. Missouri hasn't looked great. Missouri hasn't looked great in the aspect of what people thought that they would be. But you know what's so wild about this? The numbers don't bear that out. Now, I know what you're about to come in here and say. Well, Blake, they haven't played anybody. Okay, well, that might be a little bit fair. But look, they're 19th in total offense, 3rd in total defense, 5 in passing yards allowed, 26 in rushing offense, and maybe their passing game hasn't been lived up to par of where we wanted it to be. If you're a Missouri Tigers fan, they're 37th. But the question that I have for Texas A&M going into this Missouri game is, can they stop the explosiveness of the running game of Missouri with Noel, Carroll, Cook? Obviously, we know about the explosive weapons that they have on the outside with Luther Burden and Weeze and those guys. So the question becomes, I don't know that Texas A&M, whether it be against Arkansas, whether it be against Notre Dame, I don't know if they've faced a wide receiver core that is remotely this talented. I don't know if they faced a running back room, not saying running back with Jeremiah Love over at Notre Dame, but I don't know if they faced a better overall running back room than this one. I'm really intrigued to see how that offensive line looks. Look, Missouri, for what it's worth, maybe things have not been pretty for them, but they have been able to establish the running game. Noel and Carroll are 2 really, really good backs, and it's going to be interesting. I think Missouri's got to open it up here. I really do. I don't think that there has been anyone that has been truly able to test this Texas A&M secondary. Now, Taylor Green last week for Arkansas, okay, when I look at him, he went 23 of 41, 279 yards and a touchdown. I think Brady Cook is a better passer than that. I think you got better weapons than that. So when I look at Missouri and what Taylon Green was able to do a week ago, who's not a better passer and is not better in any form of accuracy than Brady Cook is, I think that is your way to win, man. If Taylon Green can do some good things in throwing the football, you should be able to do that as well. Here's another thing that for Missouri that I think that they have to do to win this football game too. Missouri is going to have to get off the field defensively on third down. They're actually a top 5 unit in the country in third down defense. A&M has very much struggled on third downs offensively. I know that they had a new quarterback that they're breaking in. That's fine. I know that they have a new coach, coordinator, all that stuff. That's also fine. But they've been really struggling on third down. A&M is 77th in the country in third down offense, where we just told you that Missouri is top 5 in the country in third down defense. Listen, I think that if Missouri comes out with the win here and goes into a hostile College Station and pulls out a win, defensively, I think that that's going to be where they're able to get over on A&M. Every team at moments that A&M has faced this year has been able to get off the field on third down. Now, I want to be cautious in saying that in the struggles that they've had under Colin Klein on third downs because Marcel Reed is a new quarterback. And I do think that Marcel Reed, for what it's worth, has shown flashes that young man can be very special. You know, I think of the throw that he made on third down last week. I think it was to Noah Thomas. It was a beautiful throw. Wind up going for 6. That kid has gotten better every week. Now, he started off against Florida, a really bad Florida team, and went off. But I think his decision-making has gotten better every week. I think the offense revolves around him. But I do think it's something to be cautious about if you're an A&M fan when you're looking at this game and saying to yourself, listen, man, we really have struggled on third down. The numbers bear that out. We have not been able to stay on the field at moments. Go ask Bowling Green how that paid out for them. Here's how I see the game. The way that I see the game is that I'm just not 100% convinced that Missouri has faced a team that is going to be this physical and going to be able to line up and run the ball on them. I don't think that they faced a defensive line like this. I'm not 1,000% sure that running game is going to be able to get going at times when they need it to. Man, I really got to go with Texas A&M here. The reason I do is because I've seen the struggles. I know the numbers for Missouri don't pan it out. But I look at Texas A&M as an example and say, listen, I just think that they're going to be able to lean on them in moments. The defense, who had a lot of changes during the offseason, players leaving, coaches leaving, etc., I don't think that they've necessarily had somebody or a team that is as a physical up front as A&M is. Now, you can say, well, Blake, what about Boston College and Castellanos and all those guys? You might be right there. But I don't think that either one of those Boston College lines of scrimmage were even remotely close to being as physical as this team is. And look, maybe Missouri fans agree with me. They probably don't agree with me that they're going to go in here and lose, and I completely understand that. By the way, I had you in my playoff. Just throwing that out there. I like Texas A&M at home, man. Tough environment. I think the vibe is up there. I think Mike Elko is much more of a better decision maker than Jimbo Fisher, and I think that this is the game that we see that maybe A&M has done some good things. Now, would I be surprised whatsoever if A&M loses this game and Missouri's able to find a way to win? No. I think that their path is they got to get their playmakers the ball in space, especially Luther Burden. They got to test that secondary. But I think if A&M is able defensively to keep this game close early, then they're going to be able to lean on them with Le'Veon Moss in that running game, with Marcel Reed, etc. I just got to go with Texas A&M here. I will say this, though. If the game was in Como, I would not go with A&M. Let me talk about that environment for just a moment. Guys, I think it vastly benefits them. That place is loud. It's a tough place to play. You know, a couple of years ago, we saw Alabama try to go in there and win and couldn't. Look, I've been there. I think it's a tough. It's a loud, tough place to play. I think there are some good things going on with A&M, and when I look around college football, who is the team that's going to lose this week? You know, a lot of people are saying that there are going to be games where, oh, well, the chalk is going to prevail. And if you know college football, you know what I mean by chalk. The chalk is going to prevail in all of these. One of these top teams in the country are going to fall. And I just think it might be Missouri here, but maybe I'm wrong. But give me Texas A&M over the Missouri Tigers.